Hey guys, welcome back to the vlog in the Piazza. I am here with Robert Kovac. See, I even messed it up. This is Robert. He's our scenic designer for Piazza, so we're going to spend some time with him backstage today and ask him a few questions. All right, so here we go. All right, so as you've seen a few of our set pieces that we've shown you in the vlog already, we've got huge columns, there's a big arch. So Robert, kind of when you found out that you got the show, like what was kind of your inspiration going into it as far as for, you know, making sure that it would work and, you know, kind of where did you start in the process for this show?
Period research, really, back grabbing the Renaissance monuments of the era, the openness, and looking for painters really with like history, and then creative research elements and sheets that I basically did like 5 or 6 of those and sent those off to Carla and to Michael and the design team and said, hey, pick out some images you like. I picked out some sunsets, some sunrises, which you see what Mike is, the lighting designer Mike Eddy is duplicating on the RP screen in the back.
Very cool.
Some cool looking sunsets and just how the show could really flow and then change from moment to moment from being, if we were at night, into a sunrise and sunset.
Okay.
And to really create just as much openness as we can.
All right. Now, for the purposes for our show, I mean, everything kind of has to be functional because we move through different locations within Italy very quickly. So, as far as when you were designing it, I mean, you've obviously have worked with Phoenix Theater before.
Correct.
And you designed last year's Les Mis, which was a smash hit for here. So what was one of the, when you're designing for this space in particular, what's one of the things that you have to be aware of when you're designing for Phoenix Theater? You know, like I'm sure that every space is, exactly.
It's that letterbox. Really, when you send it back to the house, the rake of the house is really shallow. And then when the building was designed, there's that architectural beam that goes across the front that all of a sudden starts limiting your height abilities in this space.
Got it.
So like with Carla, our director of the show, she wanted to basically to move as quickly as possible with being basically choreographed into the show with actors and whatnot.
Right.
And literally looking at PT Space was trying to get as many, to make the space as big as possible, and usually literally adding the curtains on the side with all the fullness at 200% adds so many vertical lines, and then taking them up past the grid gives the illusion that our space is really twice as bigger than larger than it really is.
Yeah. Very cool. All right, so now we're going to go on stage and we're going to look at like the column, and we're well, I've shown you one of the columns, but we're also going to look at the arch, and there's some really cool painting techniques. All right, folks, so we're on stage. Here's the big arch, and we've shown this to you before in the video blogs, but here it is kind of up close and personal. Now, you said that there's some pretty cool, like as far as for this actually arch does flip.
Correct.
If you look up, there's like a broken pieces, and so we use it for the first act on one side and then for a scene in the second act on the other side. So what's some of the painting techniques that they used to get this look? I don't know if everyone on the video blog can see this, but it's really, really rough. They did a really cool job painting this to make it look as authentic as they could when it's pretty much just made out of wood, right?
Correct. Yeah. The substrate under the other side of it is basically lightweight 16-gauge steel cladded with quarter-inch MDF, and then Karen, our scenic artist, our charge artist, which is very good, she basically brought in bags of sawdust, and literally that's how it was started. The technique itself was with sawdust, and I think almost 20 gallons of just really raunchy raw paint. It's basically been laying around different shops that she works at throughout the Phoenix area, and she literally just brought them in and literally skimmed off the tops. And these arches, when it first started, were pinks and magentas and purples, and literally the sawdust absorbs so much paint, so she was just putting it on there rather than using glue. So kind of like recycling, I guess.
Yeah, definitely, totally.
The paint out. So anyway, she just basically started layering it up, and you can see where different levels and chip parts.
Yeah.
We cut away, like some of it was foam and plywood that was hit with a grinder, which chips away a lot of this that Mark did basically with jigsaw, and then went in and chips it out, and then by the time she applies all the texture to it, it really looks beautiful.
That's so cool.
And it catches light. I mean, that was the whole point. Like all the large pieces with fabric and the columns themselves was to try to design as many surfaces that would help Mike Eddy out as well, lighting-wise, so
you saw more texture within
yeah, so that you can see here like with gobos being projected on them, so then we can rotate them, and then we knew we were going to use side lighting, so you could get some really nice directional lighting for sunsets, for daytime lighting, and create some nice shadows that adds even more depth to make our set.
And it really is cool. I mean, with all the lighting on it, it makes it it does. It adds that depth that makes
really
you feel like you're really more part of it and part of the story. So it's really cool to actually be on this set too and to experience that. So yeah, no, it really is. Now I know that like a couple of the pieces we actually rented, correct? Like the
one piece, actually.
one piece,
just one piece.
this
Our
big
large
statue over here,
which actually was on I do believe was on the tour, and I think it might have been on the Lincoln
I think it was on Broadway as well.
Broadway as
And they
well.
took it on tour.
So yeah, because we were going, like, we carved the torsos, we made all the chandeliers by hand. They basically bent the steel so that we could get everything to fly. And then this bad boy, it just the amount of time it would take to actually build something like that to create a nice element. But,
It's
I
just
mean, it was
cheaper to
worth
rent it
renting.
sometimes.
Yeah, no, it really was. But
So
this was our only
yeah.
object that we rented. Everything else, the crew at PT here, from Mark and Joel and Katie and all those guys, basically put it together.
And it's
looks beautiful.
incredible. The audience is in for a huge treat. So, well, thank you so much for talking with us today and joining us on the video blog. So, buy your tickets, all right? We'll see you. We open this Friday, so don't forget to get your tickets, all right? We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.